All right, everyone. Just finishing touches on the making sure everything's cleaned up here. And click that button. Awesome. All right. So thank you everyone for coming. Let's just pop this. Hi. So for anyone who's new here, essentially what this is a live stream that I do once a week where we're going to go over the markets. We're going to talk about, what happened in Stats Edge Pro this week and all of that. I hear a little feedback. Let me just kill myself. There we go. And I don't need that. I can pause that too. Perfect. Hey, how's it going? So yeah, we're going to go over, we start with any of the videos that I made last week. So let me bring that up while I talk. Then we're going to talk about the crypto markets and the equity markets. We're going to scan for some ideas going into next week. Tell you what I think of all of those different marketplaces, and then that's when I open it up to you guys, whatever it is that you guys want to see. So keep your chat request ready, and we will, or your chart request, sorry, and we'll go through those. So I'll take a look at any charts you guys want as things go. So let's just get started by going here. And so these are the videos made this week. So I believe this one was OMI. Let's take a look at that. That was the first one that I talked about. OMI. There you go. Oh yeah, I remember this one. We were looking for OMI to break out of this area right here. Never did. No trade. And what was the other one? INFA. And that one didn't trigger either, I know. Yeah, no trigger there. But I still like this one. This one's still on the list for INFA. Away you go. So, right, over 34. And I want to see a close over 34 because just look at all the topping tails here. So of the videos I made, there was just no trades this week. And to be honest, there wasn't a lot of trades anyway this week, right? Where there was a lot of, there was a lot of junk going on, right? And it was almost a crash in most things. So, we have to be careful about that kind of stuff when the market's not cooperating. Just making sure everything's sized here around my camera. So as always, I like doing this live like this, so there's questions and we can shoot the shit about the market and talk about anything you guys want. So as I go through, make sure you ask. Right, if you see me evaluate a chart in a different way that you would, and you're interested in that, or you see me talk about something and you're like, hey, can you elaborate a little more on that? Fill your boots, right? That's why we're doing this live in real time, as opposed to just doing a video and then shooting that out, which I actually may even do later. So I think we got to start in the crypto space. I usually like to, but I think even more so than normal. It's going to be important. I'm just grabbing this so I can start to paste these charts over. Because again, as I mention every time, what you're going to see for the next hour or so is the work that I put in every night for the Stats Edge Trading Pro membership. So if you're interested at all on checking that out, links in the description below. If not, just, take a shot over to my website anyway. There's some cool free stuff there. There's a blog post that I did. I'll talk about that as well. So here's my website, right? So some things right off the bat, there's a free trading course here. Give that a shot. Free, always free. Don't need a credit card. Don't need to sign up. It's just kind of on YouTube. And yeah, I did this blog post last week. So when we get to the equities, I'll talk about that. I thought that was kind of interesting. So into the crypto space. So we got to start with the big guy always, and the kind of crash that we saw here in Bitcoin. Let me actually do this and then pick that one and then click that. So I talked about for the any notes you see on the chart here. Again, this is what I do every night for Stats Edge Pro. Is I take all of these charts that you're going to see me go through, and the ones that I think are important for my users to look at. We'll kind of put those. I put them in a blog post. I upload them along with a watch list that they get to look at every night of things that I'm watching. Right. So this was something that was on that list, and I just kind of said. This support, just talking about this little support right here, if we draw back, was resistance right here. And I was like, that's all that matters right now for Bitcoin. And that was on Thursday. And then we just completely collapsed, right? And the same with most of the crypto market. Now, it's a Bitcoin crash, right? It's kind of what it does. It crashes all the time. I don't think there's anything new or different about this one. One thing that I did want to point out that I think is super interesting is look at where it held like exactly to the tick, right? And that's roughly, this is a logarithmic chart, so the numbers are a bit weird on the side. Let's actually get rid of that while we're looking closer time frame. That's pretty much exactly 40,000. So what that kind of shows me is that there was somebody there waiting. It's very hard. When Bitcoin does this, it does it all in like 5 minutes. So the fact that there was already someone sitting there and saying, I want to buy 40,000, which you can see the importance of 40,000 right now, that's interesting to me. So I'll just put 40K is the key number. But the fact that that happened the way it did and just stopped there on the dime and then reversed just makes me think there was probably orders out there in the market. Somebody had some massive whale was like, I'll take 40, I'll take as much at 40,000 as you'll give me, and sold there and then kind of reversed and move higher. So what I'm kind of looking at going forward, I'm not going to buy it here, right? We're kind of just stuck in a range, and I'll just put that just stuck. So there's nothing for me to do here on Bitcoin. But what I do is when something like Bitcoin, which I love to trade and not so much one of the crypto fanatic guys, but I really like to trade it, is that I want to wait for one of these ranges to clear decisively one way or the other. However, I gotta just I'm just kind of giving, I guess, props to the strength of what happened when it bounced there, because these crypto crashes are not new. I've been trading crypto and I've got some crypto interests for different companies and stuff. It crashes all the time, right? It's just kind of what it does. It just crashes. So this one was a little bit more shallow than most. I think to sum it up, right? If you're below 60,000, I don't think you can really be long. I'd want to see this area clear before I'd buy. It doesn't make sense to be. And if you're above 40,000, I don't think you can be short anymore. For the Stats Edge Pro guys and even anyone who attends these live streams, I've been talking about how I was short in this area for a long time. I am out now. I had some orders out to get me out kind of in this area, and it got me out most. And then when I got the alert to my watch that, hey, Bitcoin's crashing, and I saw that it was in the low 40,000s, I just punched out the rest and just said, that's it for me for now. I'll take that money and then I'll wait. Either we clear 40,000 and we spend a little bit of time under it and then I may re-enter, or we get kind of above 60,000 and start to bounce and I may enter long there. Again, I know I catch flack. Some guy talked a whole bunch of crap when I was talking about that Bitcoin short on Twitter. I'm very much resisting the I told you so's on it, but I'm not a crypto fanatic and I'm not a crypto hater, right? I'm a trader. So it means let's get comfortable here. So it means if it's going up, I'm going to be buying it. If I think it's going to go down, I'm going to be selling it. And that's all there is to it. Now, some other things to note, I think, in the crypto space is ETH. right? How well ETH hold. I've had this note, just King ETH, for a while, and just how well this thing holds. So, for example, if we say that this was the same level that Bitcoin crashed to, you can see how much quicker buyers came in on Ethereum than they did on Bitcoin. Um, so I'm actually just going to update that note. Right, so massive hold through that crash as opposed to kind of what happened in the Bitcoin space. And you know, you got to respect that. You got to respect when relative strength comes into names. It's, you know, regardless of what your crypto of choice is, you can't say, hey, this is a good one, this is a bad one. If this one's holding more, then it's holding more. And you can actually look at that. You can go Bitcoin, ETH, and you can look at this chart. It's ETH Bitcoin, or is there just one with more volume? Yeah, there you go. Right. So I wrote this note, I think back here, Bitcoin versus Ethereum's breaking out. So this just kind of shows, because this is Ethereum priced in Bitcoin as opposed to Ethereum priced in US dollars. And it just shows the insane outperformance of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So that's holding very well. And with that, you got to start looking at the other ones that are, you know, altcoins, so to speak. So what I do every day, so this is the crypto list that I have in TrendSpider. Again, links to every software you see me use going to be in the description below, and that helps out the channel. So again, if you're interested in buying any of those, for sure, do it with that link, please. But I always just sort it by change because I would just want to see what's up in the day. Some of the stuff that's very interesting to me. So MLN doesn't look very good. It's below a bunch of stuff. BAT is very interesting to me. I had some of this at 105, which I had a note right here for. Sold out a little bit as it came and then just got smacked out of the rest during, you know, when everything is selling. But that held really, really well. So I'm actually going to watch to maybe re-enter BAT at, I'm just going to put watch at 120. And basically just if we bounce off, because we bounced off the level here, we bounced off it again here. So if we're going to bounce off it again here, it seems to me like a pretty prudent way to just play it. Because, you know, I know where I'm wrong, right? There's an obvious level here, call it like 95 cents. And, you know, if we start trading below 95 cents for too much, then I'll get out. And so I'm just going to add that to the watch list. We'll call it 120. Yeah, so some interesting action there. The other one I wanted to look at was this one, Algorand. Let me actually remove this because, yeah, I had a trade here in Algorand. I actually got triggered in, and then that one just stopped almost immediately. Never, ever ashamed to show my losers because they happen. That's the nature of trading. But let's just kind of redraw that like that. And then what do we say? Over 2. So I'm going to just watch it back over 2. And the reason I'm watching this one is just look at the relative strength here, right? So I'm going to go back to Bitcoin, USD, and you can see how this one's just been absolutely tanking for the last month. And then we go back into Algo and we can see this one's kind of hold up. And even this pullback that happened wasn't nearly as extreme. I had a good trade in Algorand over this kind of cup and handle, and now I'm seeing this form as well, right? So as I do with everything, I want to find out where the strength is, and then I want to go wherever the strength is. It just makes life so much easier. I'll go, what do we say, over 2. And then other than that, there's not too much of interest to me. I've kind of been playing with a lot of these in real time for a while. ENJ USD, I was in for a while. Oh, you can see it falling down here. I was in as it kind of broke over 330, I think, right here. And that was a great trade. And then I got stopped out on the rest. And then this one seems to be continuing to sell. And same, yeah, you can see that I have them on like a short and watch list here. And same with CRV USD, which I think, right, it's again decent trade from 4 to 5 and then right back down. So not too interested in that one right now either. So again, and this is going to be a theme because everything's been crashing this week, is if you want to make your life much easier when it comes to trading, just go when the market's crashing, just find out what's not crashing, right? So that's what a lot I've gone through, and that's what I'm probably scanned through some of these. Well, PAX G is a gold thing, so that's not really going to have much to do with crypto. But yeah, you're just looking for, okay, what are they not selling? And I don't mean they as in the conspiracy theory kind of thing. I mean they as in people, right? When everyone runs for the door, what door do they run to? And a lot of people have a very innate tendency to say, all right, I'm going to look at the door that they all ran to and see if I can, block that door in some way. And it's like, why not just go through the door that they're not running through? And yeah, nothing else here of interest. And that's kind of the way I look at it, right? So they're not selling Ethereum, right? And they're not really selling Algorand, but they are selling Bitcoin. So of these three names, it's not rocket science. I'm just going to look at Algorand. So then if Bitcoin starts to rally, it's got to get through this resistance and then this resistance here and then that resistance here and then that resistance here. And then Algo only needs to get through. If you see me like bend and contort myself in weird angles, just because my camera is right. Oh, if I do that, that's much better. Does that look about the same to you guys? Okay. Right, it's only got to get through this kind of downtrend resistance or that area right there. So just doing a much better job holding its support. So I'm interested in that one. And the beauty of this one is the volatility is a double of your money is just right there. And of course you're wrong if that lower end gets taken. So, you're trying to make, well, I guess not, you wouldn't enter from there. So you're trying to make this and you're risking at most that. So you can just see that your risk is less than your potential reward. And, I wouldn't probably let it go that low anyway. So the moral of the crypto space is just, right, go for what's strong. Bitcoin crashed. I don't think this is the end of Bitcoin. I don't think you run for the hills. I don't think that means you hold it. And that's just because if you just go back in time, I'm seeing a lot of like, obviously HODL is trending on Twitter and all those idiots and, people that are trying to do shitty things to you. But, right, you got to remember when Bitcoin crashes, it takes a while. Like these are weekly charts. So this is December 2017, which was the height of Bitcoin. By the time it took new highs, that was 2 years, December of 2020. So 3 years later. So the question is, do you want to hold for a 3-year drawdown? Again, not saying that this is like 2017, but the same when it crashed off of this level in May, it took until November. So that's a little bit better to recover. So again, keep in mind that just because it will probably come back, it doesn't have to. Bitcoin could go to zero. Anyone who tells you it can't just isn't paying attention. I don't think it is. I don't think that's a likely scenario, but it's certainly a possible scenario. However, doesn't mean that it's going to go back up in any period of time that's reasonable. So, it just may be, okay, let me sell out. If you took your hit anywhere here in Bitcoin and then just say, okay, well, maybe I'll buy if it breaks back through that level. Well, you saved yourself all that time of opportunity cost. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people forget about when they hold losers for a long period of time. It's not just how much you're underwater, but what else could you be doing with that capital? And that's why I trade and I'm in, I'm out all the time. So that's kind of my synopsis of it is I wouldn't recommend well, I don't recommend anyone do anything. I'm just some asshole on the internet that some people tune into from time to time. Um, but just don't hodl something because the internet told you to. There's no reason why you can't get back in. So if it's past your risk management, then get out, and then if it gets back to your risk management, get back in. That's the beauty of what we get to do, as opposed to big hedge funds and institutions and things like that. Now let's go take a look at currencies. It's not that one, it's this one. I gotta clean up my watch lists here. So I'm just scanning these now for the first time. This is funny. AUD, Australian JPY is generally speaking a risk on, risk off indicator. And I kind of mentioned how it looked like it was breaking up here. So I made that note right here and saying, hey, this is rocketing. This is usually a risk off indicator. And then we hit the top, and just as the market crashed, that thing was telling us. So I should have probably taken a little bit of warning from this going forward. My Australian dollar trade has been phenomenal. I just outlined it here, and this is something I drew for the Stats Edge Pro guys. Again, I'll trade anything. Right? I don't have a dog in the fight. If it looks like it's going to go up, I'm going to buy it. If it looks like it's going to go down, I'm going to sell it. What'll be interesting to see here is will the yen hold on here, right? Because we had this nice bull flag in the yen that broke out. I had a decent little trade out of that and then got stopped on the way back down. And now it's kind of down to that lower trend line again. So the question is, do we sell through? Another way to draw this would just be like this. Do we sell through on the yen, or is this going to be something that's going to rebound back up? Is that going to be support? So that's what I'm watching really closely on the yen. And that's about it. So I don't really see anything I'm going to take a picture of on that. Right? The pound is tanking, and this is probably the best way to summon it. Right? UUP, for people who don't know, this is a US dollar index. So basically what they do is they take, this is the US dollar versus a whole bunch of other different currencies. So call it, there'll be a bit of Canadian in there. There'll be a bit of euro in there. There'll be a bit of yen in there. There'll be a bit of pound in there. So it's just, how is the US dollar doing as a whole versus kind of a basket of other names? And still, right, I had this big rounded base drawn in, and I had this note that overall it's very bullish, and I still stand by that. It just, until it starts to break down here, then that's where it kind of gets bearish to me. But you can see higher highs, and then a higher low, and higher highs, higher lows. So we're definitely in an uptrend here for a while. The question is, do we come up, smack off this support, or how does that work? But I just like this as an overall kind of index for how the market is doing. So again, don't see anything really in the Forex space. So I'm not going to probably be placing any trades there anytime soon until something sets up. And in the crypto space, again, just be cautious, right? Go for the stuff that's working, avoid the stuff that's not. So my eyes right now are on Algorand. If we can get again back up over in this $2 area. And while we're doing, this is what I really love TrendSpider for. Again, link in the description below, is I can just click on that, and let's make an alert. Create alert for this line. I wish I could do it faster, but right, I just want to know. Just leave that there until it's not. And there you go. Now I don't have to even look at the cryptocurrency space anymore for a while. I'll just know either this will trigger, and then it hits your watch and your phone and everything, and then I can open up my app and buy some if I like it. And then if not, just let it be. Now let us switch over into the equity space, and let's start with RSP, which, again, if you don't know, RSP is the same stocks as the SPY. It's just equal weighted instead of cap weighted, right? So actually, before we do that, let's go and grab Koifin. I'm not in the way of anything, am I? No. Okay. So Koifin, great app for sure. No affiliation with these guys, but great app. It's kind of like a Bloomberg terminal for the everyman. I really like what they're doing. But this particular chart is basically showing the relative performance of every sector inside the S&P 500 as opposed to just the overall S&P 500 itself. And what I try to do from here is I try to figure out if there's any themes, right? The only, I see right away that the only two that were positive, the only two sectors last week that were positive was XLU, which is utilities, and XLRE, which is real estate, which is exactly what you would expect to see in a downtick, right? It's just, um, this is so U and XLRE. Strong is right. So a little bit of an explanation about why, right? So I just wrote again for the pro members, XLU and XLRE being strong is what you would expect if people are scared. And what I mean by that is just money doesn't, like, we buy and sell as traders, as short-term traders. The market, the overall market, the broad strokes of the people in the market, they don't buy and sell when it comes to like Vanguard funds and when it comes to RIAs and large mutual funds and things like this. They have to remain invested in the market. It's generally speaking just a like built in as like part of their prospectus, right? You have to be invested, fully invested, or 99% invested, or whatever that is, in the market at all times. So then the concept is always, okay, but where, right? Where do you have to be invested into? And so they're just moving money around. So they're going, when they're really bullish on the market, they're going to be in more higher risk names, higher beta names, things that move more. When they're more nervous and they're scared about what's going on, maybe a little bit bearish, they're going to transfer into lower beta names. They're going to transfer into more safe names. So when you think of the two things that I just mentioned, which were strong, which was utilities and real estate, you can think that that makes perfect sense because things like utilities are going to be your things you need anyway, power and water, and you're not turning off your power if the economy gets bad, right? You may buy less Apple devices if the economy gets bad, or you may buy less Harley Davidsons or something like that, but the utilities you're going to stay into. And same with real estate. Your real estate markets are strong right now. If I'm worried about the market, I may sell Zoom and Peloton and all of these really high beta names, and then I may transition that into real estate. So I'll buy some REITs that pay a nice, safe, constant dividend if I'm worried that I'm not going to get returns elsewhere in the market. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. So this kind of, again, showing that the market's nervous, but I don't think that, surprises anybody looking at this chart now. What I will do, and this is a video, I wish I could find, there's this one very nice gentleman who left a comment. I screwed that up. That's not even going to go. See if I can read that. But one nice gentleman left a comment on my video that I made on Wednesday, which was, I guess, right here, telling everyone not to freak out, that I was pumping the market, which was quite the compliment to think that my 200 people that watch my videos are going to be able to buy enough of the entire market to push it up. But I just thought that was funny. Um, but basically, what I said in that video, and it still holds true because the market didn't really move much that day, is yes, if you look at this, it's a downtick, right? We're having a downtick in the market, but the same people that are freaking out now were the same people that were freaking out here, will be the same people that were freaking out here, and are the same people that were freaking out there, and the same people, right? So on and so forth. I've heard the same perma bear traders that I know the whole time. They go, "Oh, this is the end," and in my head, I go, "I should buy it right here." And so far, buy the dip has been working. Now, again, at some point it will stop, but we need evidence of that first. Right now, this is just a pullback in an uptrend, just like this was a pullback in an uptrend, and that was a pullback in the uptrend. So, what do I need to see in order to flip and say, okay, now we might be into some trouble? And I'm really looking at this area that I've drawn down here on the RSP and call that 150, right? So, I have this note here of I think that my prior theory of being in a range is likely. And the IWM as a chart proves that in my mind very well. So let's actually go over to that. Let's do IWM here. So this is the IWM and the small caps for the entire year. You can see that absolutely nothing has occurred in this for the whole year. So, it's just been a sideways market. And JC Peretz at All Star Charts, a great guy, great research they do there. I remember seeing him post at the beginning of the year that year two of a bull market is generally a choppy mess. And that's exactly what we've seen. Again, as long as you're not looking at just the SPY as your index, which to me doesn't make any sense to do now that it's mainly comprised of kind of the big tech names. But yeah, so the market's been in this range all year. So it broke out briefly and got everyone excited, and now it's down at the lows. So the way I'm looking at this is that we are back in a range until it proves to me that we are out of a range, which is I need to see it down here for enough of a period of time or a bounce and a fail that it's like, okay, that's done. And same here on the way up. When this went up, it pulled back here, and if that continued at this point, that's when I'd say, okay, we're off to the races now. Let's get going. And same on the downside. Other than that, we're back in a range, and that is what it is. So just know back in a range. Sad face, and the reason a sad face is as a swing trader, ranges suck. Up markets are fun. Down markets are fun because in down markets, I generally will start to play dips for swing trades. I'll look for bounces, but sideways markets just suck because it just means you're not getting much of a move in any direction. Now, just like I said in crypto, my game plan for equities here is to do the same thing. Find the stuff that's not being sold. And that's the scanning we're going to go into in a bit is going to be just looking for stuff that they are not selling and, going from there, right? Because whatever they're not selling, if the market recovers, then those things are probably going to move higher. Things that they're not selling, if the market continues to sell, we hope that they get hit less. And again, this is the concept behind the TI strength algo that I made. This is the concept on a lot of the tradings that I do is just instead of trying to read the news and figure out I had a little back and forth with my buddy Airplane Jane on Twitter. I tweeted something today. It said Algorand looked good. And, she started talking about some list she has from some sort of news. And I just said, I don't look at that, right? Just focus on if it's going to go up, that means there's going to be good news behind it. If it's going down, that means there's going to be bad news behind it, right? So just clear your mind, turn off the news. Let's find a bunch of stuff that's going up. Other than that, I've got this sorted. So these are all the ETFs that I'll go through. I have a note for gold, and we'll talk about the inflation thing. I put that there. But again, yeah, if the world was ending, wouldn't we see gold rally? And this might be, I might get flack from gold bugs for this, but what the hell does gold do? Like, if the market's going up, gold doesn't go up. The market goes down, gold doesn't go up. Inflation is a thing, gold doesn't go up. So I don't know what the hell the point of gold as a currency is anymore, right? So the way I'm looking at this now is that, you know, if this continues to act like it is, I think gold might be an incredible short if we ever kind of break down this trend line right here. And there are inverse gold ETFs in which to play this. Now, the thing that I've seen is the weakest, let me remove that, is this KWeb, which is just the Chinese internet kind of names. And this thing's just been absolute shellacked. And that's along with BABA and all of that. The Qs have actually done pretty well. So a little relative strength in the Qs. Silver is getting hammered just like gold is. And then this is my note for the SPY, right? Because I don't pay too much attention to the SPY, but I know a lot of people do. So I like to note it. Let's actually just pull this, make that a little more exact. So the reason I drew this box where I am, because I know some people ask why I draw my support zones. Again, this is another great quote, I think, from JC at All Star, where it's the same. I've heard this before him, but he always likes to reiterate it, which I think is perfect, is that you draw your support with a crayon, not a pencil, right? You just want their zones. They're not levels, they're areas. So I'm looking at this high that we pulled back from, and then this high that we pulled back from. And anywhere between that creates this kind of zone of support. So for me, I would need to see this break before I'd be at all interested in a short. But so far, we've held twice. So on Friday, when it looked bad, we had this push higher, and then on Wednesday, when it looked bad, and I made that video, we had a push higher on Thursday, and then on Friday we had a sell off, and then it was like the last 30 minutes of the day, they just rocketed in this face. So we have futures opening in 3.5 hours. So that will definitely be something to take a look at there. If we open strong, this might be an insane kind of rip your face off rally. But for short term traders, I think you know right there you got to watch. If we break that, we're probably in for some more pain. For me, it's just this box, right? Because if we fall out of this box, the next level that I see is important will be down here. And that's another. So from that box to the lows, it's another 5% down, which would that actually technically, I hate these things, but technically would that make it a bear market? No, it's only 10%. So what are we down now? Geez, 4% from all-time highs, and everyone's losing their mind. That's always funny to me. What about from, sorry, I know I moved that quick. So what would be the all-time closing high? Just eyeballing, probably that candle right there. 3.5% from all-time closing highs, right? That's why I love doing these kind of weekend long form analysis when I'm, the market's off, there's nothing, I can't get in trouble if I wanted to, and just kind of goes to show we're really not that hard up. We're 3.5%. Now, the fact that it's doing it with higher volatility, like if we look at VXX, right, the volatility is spiking a bit, but again, always put that in perspective. This is a weird instrument because it's a naturally decaying instrument anyway, but, just don't panic. I guess that's if I had to summarize my market thoughts, that's it. Just don't panic. Now let's get into stocks, and this is the same time. If you guys have any stocks you want me to look at, let me know. I'm going to go over here to my so TrendSpider I use a lot for my charting. The drawing tools are better. You can annotate stuff up. Crypto, right? Because TradeIdeas doesn't have crypto and FX and all these other instruments. When it comes to scanning and analysis, this is what I use. And same as, I do a lot of order entry. I do a lot of algorithmic trading within that, and that's all done in TradeIdeas here. So let's do some scanning. Oh, first, sorry. Let me actually, so I got to go to my watch list. And then I need to grab Sorry, I'm in the. So again, part of the Stats Edge Pro stuff, which is in the description below. Come on, if this will actually open. Safari's been a bit of a jerk for me. And it's weird that Safari on my MacBook looks different than on this Mac Mini, even though it's this running the same operating system version. Just make sure that's right. So this would be the watch list as of Friday. So let's just go through, take a second for them to sort it. There we go. And I'm just going to see what I got to pull off first. Ideally, what I'm looking for now is, again, I have this picture of the SPY in mind. And I say, okay, we hauled back pretty hard here over the last week and a bit on the SPY. So anything that hasn't, I'm going to keep. So like PubM I'm watching, we have the note here, but I want to see a close above 40. We didn't get that yet. On CCXI, I want to see a kind of close above 41. I still think that that's interesting. So I'm going to leave that one. LHTM, barely hanging on, but I think I'll keep this one as well. And same thing, right? Just looking for where is it supporting. Playboy, that's actually pretty good relative strength. Again, so you want to look at this chart, right? Take a mental snapshot, and then you just want to compare it to the SPY and how this one's been selling off much more. So Playboy is good as well. And this is encouraging for me because any of the guys in the trading chat room, because we do have a chat room, again, it's not an alert service. I don't believe in alert services, and I believe people who want alert services only are going to have a hard time trading. But we haven't been doing much in there at all because the market's been a bit volatile, where whenever I'm unsure, I size down, right? That's just what I've always been taught, right? So but I've been building these watch lists of things that aren't tanking. And I've been kind of pounding the table with everyone this week from the chat room saying, hey, make lists of stuff that aren't selling. And hopefully when the market turns, these will be the things to take off. And I'm just kind of happy to see that everything so far on the watch list so far has been holding well. Same with Ann, or AutoNation. We need to see that above 129. I'm just looking for it around here. That seems to be holding just fine. ATRA holding okay. A little bit weaker on this one. I want to see some of this. I want to see it close up in this area. I don't know what these are, but game plan here is just a massive rounded bottom going on. And then it's got this clean area of support and resistance, and I can draw this one back into there. And then you can see the other levels. Oh. All right, you can see there and there. So this 18-ish area is very important. So I'm looking to see if we can kind of break that and move higher. That one's holding fine. FGen is phenomenal. I'm in this FGen. I'm just leaving it on the list because it's still near that 1340, which is just the high here where I wanted to get in. I got in a little bit early, just as it broke here. So at 13. Oh, thanks, Chris. So Chris says, so I had Twitter post about my views. Yeah, I got an email from a little app that I have that helps me like do tags and stuff, that I crossed 350,000 views on my channel, which is good. Still small, right? I obviously wish we were growing quicker in this, but it's because I'll never put a Lambo and tell you guys how easy trading is, and how I turned 10,000 into 10 million in 2 minutes while sleeping and my monitors were turned off, but that's fine. Yeah, so FGen I'm in already, but I do like the look of this one. Again, just comparing this to the market, it's great. Yeah, Chris says, got to start somewhere. Yeah, and some of the stuff that we've been doing lately is cool. I've got some stuff that I'm thinking about for the new year that I think will be cool as well. Thinking of doing just like a fully transparent of one of my accounts that I'm allowed to. Some of the accounts I can't even talk about, but uh, just saying, hey, here it is, right? Maybe putting 50 grand or something into an account and just picking a single style and just showing the kind of like how I did with the those weekend videos where I'd pick a few names and just trade them throughout the week. Like I still do that in one of my accounts, but um, that just kind of content got stale to me. But anyway, I digress. LNG is still holding. I still like the look of this one. I want to see this one break out. Just insane strength here, right? What do I use for backtesting strategies? I use trade ideas, and the reason is, um, well, so I'll use TrendSpider if I want to do really long-term backtests on things. But the issue with trade ideas or TrendSpider backtesting is that you can only do a single symbol at a time. Trade ideas, you have a much shorter backtest window. However, you can do it on the entire market at once. So I kind of use a hybrid approach. What I'll do, for example, is I'll test something over, maybe a multi-year period on an index. If I have an idea about relative strength or something, I may do that for a long period of time on an index, and then for trade ideas, I do it for a short period of time. What I would say is if you're backtesting day trading, trade ideas is just better. Um, because again, you can do it for the whole market as opposed to a single symbol at a time. However, for if you want to do really long term backtests, then TrendSpider is going to be the way to go. Because again, trade idea stops 64 trading days is all you can test. MPTN, I'm still going to hold this one as well. Is this a buyout? It's just moving so tightly. But basically, this one, my theory is as long as we hold over, I'm gonna move this a little bit more. I hope that doesn't screw up. Perfect. Okay. Um, as long as this kind of holds the lows here of this gap, so this was a power earnings gap. I really like this one because you know right where you're wrong. If we break into this gap, I'm no longer interested. But as long as we're holding above that, I want to keep an eye on it and see if we're gonna take another leg higher. Again, I don't read the news, but you don't need to. Like you don't need to look up the earnings report to say, well, that was obviously good earnings. Like it's almost trading like a buyout. Man, I don't know what we're gonna scan for if everything on my list is still valid. There's got to be something. Another thing, just FYI, for the people who are pro members, you notice there's the list just stops at 15, and that's just because I don't want to have. I figure if I have a list of like 100 stocks I'm watching, it's just too much. So I want to keep it super super simple. So CARG, for example, going to keep that on the list. Flow, that still looks great to me, so I'm going to keep that on there. INFA, I think if we get above that 3450, that one still looks good. CUBI, and again, in my head, I'm saying, okay, because like CUBI, I think I added on the list on Thursday, I think, could be wrong. And then I look at it on Friday, and even though the market's selling, this thing's still holding strong, so that's good. Ford, again, right? If this continues, I'll take it off the list tomorrow. But if we start to trade back up here, I like Ford. Just, what a monster, especially for Ford. Like, I think, honestly, and just fundamental point of view, and I don't do fundamentals, but Ford is like a sleeper hit for the EV space, I think. Because I, and again, I don't trade off any of these, but it's fun to talk about and it's fun to think about. Um, if somebody is new, if you're like bringing somebody into the EV space, I think a traditional car maker, if they can make good EVs, is going to do great, like a Volkswagen or Ford or Honda or whatever. It's just easier, I think, for most people. You take a 70-year-old who's always had a Ford his entire life, and you say, Well, here's another Ford, but this one you plug in instead of putting gas in. That's easier than, buy a Tesla and get an or a Rivian or something like that. Again, just my personal opinion. But I trade charts, and this one just looks like a very stereotypical textbook bull flag. So if we start to kind of trade up and get up through 2021, I like it. And I think that this could certainly continue. And then SGH. Actually, let's kill this one. It still looks fine. That's an ugly topping tail. All right, are we gonna? So, I can't talk about all the TI strength stuff that I did this week because that's not fair to the people who bought memberships. However, when I was doing TI strength this week, so maybe we'll kind of fudge the numbers here, and I'll put in another one just because I wanted to put in Abbott. This is going to be one of the TI Strength memberships. Again, links in the description below if you're interested. That's just an email product, but it is a relative strength algo that I built. Again, using the same concepts that I talked about here, is just go for this. Like, again, I know as humans we have a aversion to buying stuff that's up, and we always want to bet on the underdog. And hey, find the stock that's gone from 1 million down to 0, and I'll buy it there, and then hopefully it goes back to 1 million. And look at me, I'm a genius. But the way it kind of works here is you're better buying the strongest stuff. And this Abbott, you can see all the resistance around here at 130, and then it closed over 130 just barely on Friday. So for Abbott, I'm going to see if this one spikes up here as well. But yeah, if you zoom out, you can see that this has been an important level for a while, and this thing's just an absolute dynamo. So yeah, so I've got my eyes here on Abbott, so I'm going to add that to the list, and we're just going to call it 131 and then 125 from there. And that's just kind of breaking my rules and going one over. But if there's nothing I can take out of the list, then there's no sense to scan things to put them back onto the list. So what I'll do for the next bit is let's just open up to chart requests. Let me know if there's anything you want me to look at, any charts. For the pro members, I have our Discord open, so you can ping me on Discord. For anyone in the chat, let me know what's going on there. But let's just talk about random stocks. Like, what are you guys interested in? Again, I always say stuff like that, but I don't keep the stream numbers of people that are in there up because I just don't want to feel sad if no one shows up to my stuff. So I hope there's someone here who's got a chart to look at or something. But if not, let's just do some scanning anyway, I guess. Maybe there'll be something that I'll remove from the list because I like it so much from the other one. So, and again, for pro members, all of the scans that I have are part of the membership. Man, ACI looks good, eh? What do you do? General merchandise, food, drug, and retail stores. Well, that makes sense. So the reason I like the look of this one is we've got a nice high base here at 36, and we've got ascending lows there. So we got a little triangle going on right at highs. I like the look of that one. EuroCAD. Why EuroCAD of all things? I'll look at it, but yeah, EuroCAD. I don't know. As long as you're below this, I'd be looking short if it bounces. Euro USD looks like crap, right? You guys know I'd been short this for a while, but go from there. Oh wow. Okay, hold on. Let me move the chat just so I can see it a little better because I see it kind of popping off there. Yeah, EuroCAD. I don't know how much even. You got to remember whenever you're doing one of these kind of synthetic pairs, that you're basically taking kind of two trades. But I would just again, as long as you're below that, you're in a downtrend. So, I think you'd have to bet lower. You don't want to buck a trend there. CNP. That looks good to me. Hydroelectric power. So that makes sense. So you remember near the beginning of the screen where we were talking about how utilities were doing the best. If the market continues to sell, this is the kind of stuff I think you want to look at. If the market just, if we open up strong in futures in 3 hours from now, is it? Or is it 4 hours? It's 3 hours, I think, from now. If we open strong, continue to rip, this one probably wouldn't do too well. But if we sell, then, again, you want to stick in this kind of stuff. And just the fact that when the market goes down, that this is the kind of stuff that stays strong, I think that's super interesting. So yeah, so this one looks fine to me. Facebook, oh, Zoom, I don't even need to bring, that stock looks like crap. Facebook, right? It's just getting hammered. We're in a pretty distinct downtrend here. We got a low and then a lower high and a lower low. So as a short, maybe under 300 might be interesting, but I'm not going to buy stocks in downtrends. Zoom, this is just as bad. I've got a line drawn here, so there must be some support here. So if you're a counter trend trader, right, this is obviously oversold, but just why would you do that to yourself? Just, right, a very distinct downtrend as well. Zoom will change tickers tomorrow, or Facebook will. Fine, that doesn't affect it at all. Peloton, yeah, again, just death, just right. Buying stocks in downtrends is hazardous for your wealth, I think, is a really good saying. That is that another thing JC keeps repeating, but it's just, make your life easier. Again, if you're counter trend trader, if it's working for you, great. I'm just not interested in buying things that are crashing. I just think that that's a stressful and dangerous life where I want to live a much more stress free, right? This thing's going up, therefore I'm going to look to buy it and see if it continues to go up. Give me a few percent on the upside, I'm good to go. I missed one because I just did all of yours, right? Oh, AOSL. I can review. So FYI, I'm in this AOSL. I took this when I was on the Trade Ideas live stream, kind of right in this area right here. The reason for that, if anyone's interested, is it showed up on the TI Strength Scanner, which is, we have the $17 a month email product from Trade Ideas, where they send you the top 5. If you're a Trade Ideas subscriber, you have access to the algorithm updating in real time and telling you which ones are good now. I saw this one in here. It looked good. And then, yeah, I bought it here because it had this kind of pop off the gate in 30 minutes and then this nice kind of pullback. So as it was breaking, I think this area right here, that's where I bought in with my stop just right at the low of the day. We gapped up the next day. I sold some in through here. And then, I'm just holding now just to see with kind of a break even type of a stop. Let's go. N. Yeah, but for now, there's nothing here to do now, right? It's too far separated from its base for me to look at anything now. But that's why I took it then. NVNX. It's not a ticker. Is that a crypto or something? Joseph, you just want to put that in there. Blink. Oh, thanks, David. David said there is a potential buyout for NPTN on the table, so I'm going to delete that from the list. Thanks. I'm just not interested in that kind of stuff. Blink, I don't know. Again, I always look at these like high flyers that have now tanked. There's just so many bag holders up in the 60s that are just hurt, right? So if it bounces, they're gonna be looking to sell. Um, and that's kind of what happened here, right? It had this nice pop, and then probably what happened is all of the people who got sucked in here were happy that they could get some of their money back, and then tanked it back down. I had this on watch when it kind of looked more like, I don't know, something like that. And I was interested in maybe a breakout here, but I would have been selling probably in this area. So I would need some sort of a setup on that one. It's just pulling back now. Maybe if it base for a bit and then pushed higher, that's fine. Because then you've kind of got, that would be your first change in trend. Because you got a lower high and a lower high and a lower high and a lower high. Now you finally made a higher high up here. So if it could put in a higher low and then start to trade back up, that might be a reversal in trend, and that's where I'd be more interesting. To me, MU Micron. Well, hey Mike, when you see this after starting from the beginning, an hour from now, you will see me say hi to you. MU is interesting. It's it's a nice strong stock, that's for sure. What I will say is, you're gonna want to look at all the topping tails that happened up here. There's a bunch. So what's this number? Like 86 ish. 80. When it's around 86, someone sells it. So I would want to see it kind of break and close maybe above 87 before I'd be interested in it. And then your stop's going to go down here. But this one I like because it's just a stronger name in general. And BJ. Yeah, this one's interesting. As long as it's holding this low right here, which is also the high back here, it's interesting to me. I'd want to see a little bit more action, a little bit more of a sideways chop, and then maybe a breakout to take. This was an earnings gap, right? So that's always a good thing when you see something gap and then run like this off of earnings. Just, again, saves you don't have to read this is why I never listen to conference calls or earning statements or any fundamental stuff at all, is because I see it right here. Whatever they said was good. So, right, nice pullback, but it's a little bit too deep of a pullback for me just to buy it here. So I'd want to see kind of some sideways action. This big engulfing candle, I think, might be your area. So if we zoom in, right, this big engulfing candle, here's the high, that's like 67. There was a lot of damage done. A lot of people hurt during this big engulfing candle. So if we can get and hold back over that, that might be what I'd be interested in as well. If that can happen, great. If it gets back into this gap and sells into that gap, that's probably when you're wrong. All right, see you, Dave. Thanks for popping by. But yeah, it's just it's one of those that and I know this might just seem arbitrary, but when you have 100% pullback and then it happens so you have a V top, then you got to ask yourself, what are the odds you're going to have a V bottom? How often do you see stocks pop up, have a V bottom, and then a V top? Right? That's super rare, I think. So what I would rather do is see it pop up and then it had this kind of V top, and then maybe if it does this for a bit and then starts to break out, then you've got a nice entry area and you've got a nice logical place for your stop. And then you can target those highs and then maybe you'll get going. But it's just a bit of a pullback. So Mike, I don't know if you're in real time or delayed, but Marvel didn't pop up, and that's just it's an earnings pop kind of thing, right? I'm not interested in, I need to see something. That's just a one candle setup, right? So I'm more of a give me a clean pullback or a sideways chop or something that I can take and put a logical stop on. It's just, there's just no, can't do technical analysis if there's really no price action. And this one I look at is there's no price action. You just gap up, you had a little, trading gap up day. So there's just not enough data there for me personally. All right, guys. Any more chart requests? Just FYI for the pro members, as soon as I'm done here, I will be finishing up the blog post and I'll ping in the Discord room when that's done. Shouldn't take very long. And then I'm also going to make a video for TikTok and YouTube and all of that, one of those short videos. Because yes, I am on TikTok, which is embarrassing to say, but it's a place that generates a lot of views. Anyone here actually come from TikTok? Has anyone actually discovered me from that? Because the view numbers are insane from there. I always just wonder if um, anyone actually pays attention to it, right? Or is it just because I'll put a video on YouTube and I'll get maybe 100, 200 views. I'll put the same short video on TikTok and I'll get 2,000-3,000 views. But again, I just don't know if there's any, what conversion or engagement or whatever the technical terminology is from that, or whether people just, tune in and just keep swiping. I don't use the apps. I don't really like any social media apps. I keep them as far away from me as I can, but as someone who creates things, I need to do that stuff. So, again, any more charts anyone wants to look at, just type in chat and let me know. If not, and anyway, if you guys enjoyed the stream at all, if you could just hit the like button, that would be fantastic. That helps. Sure, if you guys watch YouTube, you've gotten the speech before, but they really say, they send out emails to creators once a month and say the more people hit a like button, the more likely. I guess if I want to get big on YouTube, what I have to do is yell at you guys to hit the like button, and then when you leave this video, go to another video. So if you click on another video of mine, then all of a sudden, I don't know, they're more likely to recommend. Again, it's all confusing to me. So I just put my thoughts on the stock market out there, and am thankful that some people listen, come to my website, right, buy a product from Trade Ideas or TrendSpider, or subscribe to the pro membership, right? Any of those things is fantastic. But all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I think we're done with charts, and that's fine. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. I greatly appreciate it. Again, if you could just hit the like on the way out, that'd be fantastic. I'm going to do a short video on one of the things that I showed from this watch list, and that will be up in a matter of minutes, so you can check that out. You've already saw the analysis, but there might be something there that we talk about a little more. Probably Playboy, to be honest. So check that out. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Right, get away from the screens. We got futures opening in a few hours, so might be a good time for a beer and a nap before that happens. And more importantly than anything, even if the market goes crazy, just don't panic. Develop a plan right now. Write it down. If the market does this, I will do this. If the market does this, I will do this. And write it down. Put a sticky note on your trading monitor, whatever you have to do, and then just let it go, right? It's just too much panic, I guess, when things sell. So thank you all again, and trade safe out there.